You're tuned in to the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks. And today we're going to be talking about healing. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, and stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak. Welcome to our first ever Friday Sajdah Morning Coffee Talk. Thank you all for joining. We're going to start doing Friday and Saturday. So tell a friend, anybody who you know always comes on Saturday morning, let them know that Friday morning we are on now. So while they're getting dressed or while they're on their way to work, they can jump in and have coffee with us and just chat. I thought to kick off our Friday morning coffee talks that we would begin to talk about healing. Healing is so important. And I just want to talk about it in very layman's terms. When I really started to jumpstart my focused healing journey, I became a certified emotional intelligence coach because I was dealing with trying to navigate through my sensitivities and how that was impacting me everywhere I went. And really was the beginning of that process of transforming something about myself that I didn't like into what I call a superpower. Because I would always get pushback about I'm always in the room that can see the things nobody else sees, and I don't always have to say anything. I had to learn that too. Um, but learning to say, you know what, this is a skill. This is why I can sit at tables that I didn't know existed and function because of my high level of sensitivity. So let's hone that in. And thank you, Nubia Love Flow. Appreciate you. Um, so that's the goal here, is to talk about healing, because here's what happens when we don't heal. We go through some type of trauma or some type of situation or challenge. Um, and let's say, for example, we're in a bad relationship, and it's an abusive relationship, and we can admit that we attracted this person into our life. We can admit that we didn't set boundaries. We can admit that we saw this kind of thing growing up, or maybe it's a self-esteem issue, whatever it is. When we don't heal, and even though we may be successful in getting ourselves out of this situation, we take ourselves with us wherever we go. So if we run to our mama's house, that trauma's going there with us. If we run to the mosque, that trauma's going to show up in the mosque. If we run to the church, it's going to be there. If we dive deep into our job and just delve into our job, it's going to be at work. Why? Because we're there and we haven't healed from what caused us to tolerate it, or the conditions that contributed to this type of thing being in our lives. And I'm certainly not victim blaming. One of the things that I do is, whenever I go through something, I figure out what responsibility, what in it can I own? While it all may not be my fault, a person may have responded way too aggressively, or they may have been way too ignorant or way too mean or whatever. What part of it could I have changed? Sometimes you may just say there is nothing. Other times you could say, yeah, I saw that sign early in the beginning. Or, you know what? When I went through that as a child, when I grew up, I just kind of pushed it down. And somehow it popped up in this relationship. And I started doing what I saw my parent do, or whatever it is. You all know what you need to heal from, and where you are, but it's going to show up. And until we learn to create those boundaries, to do the hard work, to have these tough conversations with ourselves. Some of those tough conversations include expanding our emotional vocabulary. The beautiful thing about emotional intelligence is that, unlike your IQ that pretty much stays the same for most of your life, your emotional intelligence can increase and decrease, right? But you can definitely expand it. And what I want to help us do today is learn to read our emotions. This has been a very valuable skill for me, not only as an emotional intelligence coach, but just as a student myself, a student of myself. The minister teaches us we have to go inside of ourselves and study ourselves. And so a lot of times we experience different emotions. And sometimes our vocabulary isn't wide enough, so we don't know what we're experiencing, and we don't know how to address it, and we don't know what it's saying. So we're going to do this in two parts, okay? Part one today and part two tomorrow morning. And I just want to go through some emotions. And this is just straight up out of, our textbook. And it's just going to be very layman and very practical. I'm not going to get into a lot of science and a lot of technology. Let's see, what time is it? Oh, I got a little time. I can drink some tea. Okay. So let's start with fear. Okay. Sometimes we don't like to admit when we're afraid. The crazy thing about fear is that the ego jumps in. And if somebody said to you, don't be scared, you're like, oh, I ain't scared. I ain't scared of nothing. But you may actually really, truly be afraid or fearful. And so the goal is not so much. You may want to, if you got a trusted person in your life that you can have this conversation with, you can do that. Somebody that is going to meet you where you are. A lot of times we talk to people, as soon as you see them or get on the phone with them, they just start rolling about whatever they're doing and what they got going on. And they go from subject to subject to subject, and you can't really get it in. That just may not be the person to share this kind of intimate thing with, um, because you need somebody who, when you begin to conversate with them, you can hear them listening and connecting and tuning in to you, and vice versa. So, in terms of fear, you may be going through something and you just start to feel fear. And you should know where fear alerts you in your body. Some people say, well, my thighs start to feel numb. Some people say, I feel it in the pit of my stomach. Some people say, I feel it in my throat. I knew a girl that whenever she got fearful, she could barely get her words out. Um, there's different levels of fear. Sometimes there's times when I've been so afraid that I could hear my heartbeat in my ears so loud that I couldn't think. That's like when you're really afraid. But there's a little subtle signs of fear. And fear, just like all of our emotions, is a compass. All of our emotions are a compass. They're pointing us in the right direction. They're telling us that either we're going in the right direction, or maybe we're going in the wrong direction, or that maybe we need to tweak our approach. Our emotions can really be like our coach, right? If we're playing tennis and somebody says, you keep hitting the ball in the net, you need to just bend your knees. Well, your emotions can be that thing that says, bend your knees or arc your shot a little bit more, or whatever. And so as we're analyzing ourselves, we want to make sure we're paying attention. What am I feeling? If you're feeling fear, what is fear trying to tell you? What is fear trying to alert you? Fear is most often trying to tell you that you're being challenged to grow. So that means that there's some change, something that you need to think about or face that's trying to get you to expand, and you're afraid of it. It's trying to say to you, it's time to grow. And you could say, well, how is me being afraid of being robbed trying to make me grow? It could be making you grow in awareness. It could be making you grow that you don't need to go to this location no more. It could be making you grow to just get over a fear or a phobia. You'd be surprised at things that just trigger fear in people. Some people, bright lights just make them scared. Some people, a loud sound makes them scared. Some people, just seeing a crowd can make them afraid. Some people are afraid of heights. Some people are afraid of water. Some people are afraid of fire. Some people just scared of everything. Whatever the media tells them to be afraid of, they get afraid. Well, that fear that you're feeling is telling you to grow. And so that's when you got to really dig in and say, what do I need to grow beyond? Am I afraid of something that doesn't really exist? Am I creating a boogeyman per se that don't really exist that I need to work on? But what do I need to grow through? Do I need to grow through my fear of failure? Some people don't make moves and don't do things because they're just afraid to fail. And then that's another thing where they put that fear over on you. You can't be afraid to fail. You just can't. You're going to fail more times than you win. But each time you fail, it's an opportunity to grow and to expand. So when you feel that fear in your heart, especially when it's something that you feel on a consistent basis, recognize that that fear is there to teach you to grow. Grow what? Could be to grow to survive, grow to speak up, grow to fight, grow to get past a phobia and kill the boogeyman, grow to love, grow to have more courage. See, courage is when you keep moving anyway, even though you know you're afraid. So it's not that you're trying to make the fear go away. You're just saying, I see you, fear. And so we're gonna walk through this. We're gonna have the courage to move forward despite having that fear. Okay? Remember this. And I forgot to give you all this. Healing. When you're seeking to heal, what is your goal? Your goal is to be free from injury or free from disease, to make yourself sound or whole, or make a situation sound or whole. You want to make something well again. You want to restore your health. You want to overcome, or you want to mend, patch up or correct something, or just restore something to its original purity. That's the point of healing, because we don't want to keep taking these traumas with us. Well, they say hurt people hurt people. So scared people make other people scared. And scared people, when you're afraid, you can do all kinds of things. The ego will do all kinds of things. Because here's the thing. If the fear is big, did you know that your ego don't like the fear being bigger than it is? So what will the ego do? The ego will make you do something that is bigger than the fear. So you may beat somebody up. So now the ego can say, yeah, my triumph over beating that person up was bigger than the fear. Your ego may say, nah, don't keep going. Just give up, and let's come up with some deceptive intelligence and make up for some reasons as to why we didn't do it. Let's make it make sense. And then we can sound intelligence, and then our intelligence will be bigger than the fear. Well, I really didn't go because such and such, such and such. And then you have this elaborate explanation when really deep down inside, you're fear and you're afraid. And sometimes the ego is on such automatic pilot that you don't even realize that what you're dealing with is fear. So that's why I want us to stop for a minute. We got to learn to meditate. We got to learn to get quiet and go, what is that I'm feeling? It's fear. Let's move to the next one. Bitterness. What is bitterness trying to tell us? Bitterness is trying to tell us that there's a deeper lesson for us to understand. What does that mean when we just get bitter about something? Something happens and we got an attitude. We just bitter, sour, unpleasant. And oftentimes we do that when we just don't understand something. So when you find yourself, this is very critical, because cancel culture has us not liking everybody and everything. So when you find yourself looking at something and you're like, ugh, or you don't know why, but you just don't like them, you just got an issue with them, 9 times out of 10 is because we don't understand. And there's something inside of us that we need to understand. Now, you may not have to understand it perfectly, but you just need to understand to the extent that you can get, that the bitterness can go away. You may choose not to like a person. You may choose not to like a lifestyle or want to even be around it. But do you have to be bitter about it? Maybe you can just understand that this is just what these people choose, or this is how they live their lives. Or maybe it's manipulation. I don't know. But what is it that you need to understand when you find yourself being bitter? This is a tool that is used oftentimes, or an emotion that is explored with coaches that I know that do race relations. So you have white people that just don't like black people who just don't like white people, or people who just don't like Asians or Hispanics, or they have a whole group of people and they just go, I can't stand none of them. Is there something there that you need to understand? Maybe it's as simple as that group of people does exist in the world. You might be mad about it, but you need to understand that they're here. So when you just find, I just don't like it. Have you ever met somebody and for no reason you just didn't like them? And then all of a sudden later you got to know them and they became really close to you. I know people who get married and they say, when I first met him, I didn't like him. Or when I first saw her, I was like, ugh. Because oftentimes there's something about that person that we're being pushed to understand. And in this world of cancel culture, anything that is not explained or not understood, we're being told not to like, to get bitter about, to hate. And to remove our understanding, they remove the explanations, they remove the history, they unperson the person. The person becomes unpersoned or repersoned, so that we never gain understanding of who the person is and where they're coming from. We can never reconcile and create negotiations until we get rid of the bitterness. And the bitterness is pushing us to say there's something that we need to understand. All right. Here's the next one, resentment. How many of you all just become resentful? And I'm not giving the definitions of these. You can go back and look them up. But I want you to think about resentment. What is resentment trying to tell you? It's telling you that you need to work on your victim mentality. See, because resentment can kind of be the beginning of envy and jealousy. You might resent someone in your family because they didn't have to go through something that you went through. Last sip and get through the whole thing of that. You may resent someone in your job because they got a promotion and you didn't. You may resent your husband because he gets to get out and go every day into the world and go to work, and you got to stay here with the children. What's resentment telling us? That we have to work on our victim mentality space in our body. It's so easy for us to become the victim. I'm a victim because I got to be home with the children all day. He gets to go to work. I'm a victim because I didn't get a promotion and they did. And when you're slipping into victimhood and defining and seeing yourself as a victim, you will feel resentment from an emotional standpoint. So in your quiet thoughts, and this is all very intimate, and this is the hard work that we each have to do on ourselves. Man, I resent the fact that they got away, they got more money than I do. We both got out of the hood, but I'm out, but I'm still over here living paycheck to paycheck and they making millions of dollars. Well, why are you making yourself a victim? See, once you recognize you're making yourself as a victim, you can then say, okay, why am I making myself a victim? And how is this damaging me? How is this impeding my progress? Because if you're a victim over here, you're going to be a victim over there. And if in your mind, you are a victim in your relationship or a victim at school or a victim in whatever way possible, then any environment you go to where you think you're escaping, whether it be the church, the mosque, the synagogue, your sorority, your fraternity, you're going to be a victim over there. And those same villains that you ended up resenting over here, you're going to recreate them and repackage them and reperson them, and they're going to show up over here. So the goal is we have to go inside of ourselves. No, woe is me. Why won't they do this for me? Why won't they love me? Why won't they help me? Why won't they do this? Why won't they buy my stuff? Why won't they do this or that? Sometimes people are just bitter. I had a woman walk up to me and she said, my sister do hair. I was like, whoa, she's really bitter. And she said, I see all you sisters walking around here getting your hair done, but my sister, she the one who she does it, and I help her. Okay, well, instead of being bitter about it and making yourself a victim, because it's not going to help you by being bitter and angry and resentful. It's not going to help you. It's not going to make me come get my hair done with you. So you got to pull yourself up out of that victimhood and maybe put some marketing together. Maybe look good yourself instead of looking like a victim. So then I say, ooh, girl, where you get your hair done at? Me and my sister, we do hair. Okay, y'all got a card? Oh, yes. And here's my card. And we offer discounts for first-time customers or whatever. But be very careful. You might be justified. Let me say this, because you're not always wrong. It's just that the emotion doesn't serve you. So you might be right. People may not be patronizing you. And they could damn well be wrong as two left shoes. They could be walking right past you and know you and going to the person next door and getting their hair done over there or their nails done over there. And you sitting right here, you do what you've been doing. You may very well be right. But becoming a victim, being resentful, does not serve you. It's not going to help you get more customers. It's not going to help you serve your current customers better. So when you feel that popping up inside of yourself, even a simple statement to yourself is, I'm not a victim. They have the right to go wherever they want. Because guess what? When I beam my energy out here in the world, I'm not going to beam the energy of a victim. I'm going to beam the energy of a winner. I'm going to beam the energy of somebody who is triumphant, somebody who is tethered to God, who has massive success in front of them. Because I'm massively successful. You can say that even if you feel like a victim. Even if you got to go all the way back to the sperm that created you, that made it past millions of other sperms, you are massively successful. You are a powerful manifester. So those kind of things that you need to say to yourself, see, this is why affirmations don't always work. Because we say these affirmations over and over again, but we don't address the emotion that we need to address in order to clean up what that affirmation is trying to address. So you may very well be right. People might not be treating you right. But what do you say? You can say, well, you know what? I know they're not going to do it again. I know I'm not going to put my fate in their hands again. I'm going to create boundaries for myself. They're not going to come back up in here and do what they did. They can go wherever they want to go. If they don't see me in the right light, there's somebody who will. I know God sees me. This is when you have these types of conversations with yourself. So I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying recognize the fear, the bitterness, the resentment. Let's do two more before we go to part 2. Discomfort. When we're feeling uncomfortable, have you ever been in an environment and you're just like, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable. And sometimes we ignore it, or we have a friend that says, girl, you good, girl, it's all right. But you're like, I don't know, it's something about this. I just don't feel comfortable. What is the discomfort trying to say to you? It's saying that maybe you need to shift your focus. Maybe you're in an environment that you really shouldn't be in, but you should be focused somewhere else. Maybe you're in the right environment, but you're focusing on the wrong thing. Remember, what you focus on expands. So when you feel that discomfort, it's time for you to say, okay, what am I supposed to be focusing on? You may be uncomfortable because you need to be focusing on something that really is dangerous. You might be sitting next to somebody plotting to kill you, plotting to shut down your business, but you don't know it because your focus is off. You're focused on being their friend. You're focused on kicking it with them. You focused on the food or whatever is at hand. When really what you should be focusing on is what this person is trying to do to you. Sometimes you can go into a business conversation with somebody and there's just something about it that don't feel right. I use this a lot when I'm deciding whether or not I want a client. I was on the phone the other day with a client of mine, and we were doing some vendor evaluations. And so we had a conversation with the CEO of a particular company. And because we wanted to get an idea of their pricing and things like that. And I use this technique because the person had a conversation with my client previously and it went really well. And they came with all the bells and whistles. They got this glossy pricing sheet and it just looks really good. When I got on the phone with the person, there was something that made me feel uncomfortable. Something that I just didn't like. And I knew enough not to be immature and be like, whatever, I'm out of here. I started paying attention and I started saying, okay, what is my intuition telling me that I needed to focus on? Well, as it turned out, when I really looked at their pricing, the pricing was too high. When I really looked at the process for which my client would use this particular process, this particular product, it will require too much storage. It was too big, too bulky. It looked nice, looked glossy, but too expensive, too big, too bulky. And we don't have the space for that in the facility. And so it started making me focus on things that were tangible and not get caught up in the fact that it sounded good and looked good, because I was feeling uncomfortable. I've had times like that where I had to utilize that feeling when it was something that I should move forward with. I remember having a conversation about somebody, and we were talking about an opportunity. And I was like, I don't know, because the way the person presented the opportunity, they didn't really have all their stuff together. I didn't really feel like they were very organized. And so it made me a little uncomfortable and I felt a little awkward. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna deal with that person. But I felt uncomfortable saying that. And I said, okay, so is this discomfort telling me that I should be focusing on doing this with somebody else? Is this discomfort telling me that I'm wrong and I should really look at this person more closely and do business with this person? So what I did in the conversation, instead of cutting off the conversation, I just kept the conversation going. And then as it turned out, the person actually did have all the things that was needed to put the deal together that they were trying to bring me on board to help them with. But there were just other situations and other circumstances. So as I started to focus on that, I started focusing on the history. I started focusing on what they were doing, what they had done, and what they had not done. Come to find out, they had a whole nother project that was equally as viable and was a little bit even maybe more, potentially more lucrative. But had I not recognized that discomfort and said, let me focus in here, what is this telling me? I would not have left that conversation with the potential opportunity of 2 projects instead of 1 that I initially was just going to walk away from because I felt like it was just too discombobulated. So discomfort can tell you that sometimes I've been in situations where something told me, something ain't right up in here. Something ain't right up in here. And as I started trying to focus, I couldn't identify it. but the discomfort just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I started feeling a little fear, and the fear got mixed in there. And I said, what are you challenging me to do? And I said, you know what? I got to leave up out of here. And then come to find out later that I dodged a bullet, per se. So paying attention to these emotions are important. And the last one we're going to do this morning is anger. Have you ever just gone into a situation and you just got mad, just angry, and you really can't pinpoint what you mad about? You treating people a certain way. You're just an angry person. Have you ever met somebody like that? They just seem to be an angry person. What is the anger coming to teach us? Anger is coming to make us pay attention to the situation at hand. Anger is one of those ones that says, pay attention now. That's how I see anger. Pay attention now. A lot of us as Black people like to say, look, don't make me mad. Don't make me come up out this bag on you. We can't wait to get angry so that we can use that excuse to unleash on somebody. But that anger might be saying, pay attention now. The anger might be saying, pay attention now, because right now you need to unleash. Or the anger may be saying, pay attention now because you're about to mess up. You don't know until you first become aware of the emotions. And one of the things we say in emotional intelligence, one of the things we're taught, is that awareness is the mother of emotions. It's the mother of change. It's the mother of recognition. It's the mother of transformation. It's the mother of all of that. It gives birth. So if you're sitting there angry and you don't know you're angry, then you're not going to change. And guess what happens? The trauma that caused that anger, or the trauma that you caused because of your anger, is going with you from each situation to the next. You may tone yourself down a little bit. You may dial it back a little bit, but it's still there. And you're going to keep experiencing it. The fear, if you don't fix it, if we don't heal, we don't mend it, we don't pay attention to what it means, we're going to take it with us everywhere we go. We're just going to be a scary person. The resentment, the bitterness, if we don't pay attention to what that's coming here to teach us, what that emotion shows up to make us aware of, guess what? That anger and that bitterness is just going to continue to grow and expand. Next thing you know, you a full-blown, envious, jealous-hearted, nasty acting person. Or you use deceptive intelligence so you don't act envious and jealous, but you attract that into your life. Or you do underhanded things. And really what it is you're just envious and jealous. So I hope this helps. The goal with these conversations, obviously, we're not going to heal in a 45 to 60 minute coffee talk. But what we can do is begin to raise our awareness. We know that there's a lot that we all have to heal from. You don't come through this sojourn in America without trauma and without recognizing that you need to heal. We have to heal. And so we're going to cover tomorrow, we're going to go over disappointment, guilt, shame, regret, anxiety, and sadness. And we're just going to have just a very layman's conversation about what those things are here to teach us. And if we were having coffee in my kitchen this morning and we started talking about sadness, what will we say about it? What will we realize that it's here to teach us? And so that's what we're going to continue with this series, and we'll pick back up with that tomorrow. So I hope you all have enjoyed our very first Friday coffee talk. I pray that it helps to raise our awareness so that we can grow and get better, so that we stop taking our broken selves with us everywhere we go. And then we start to identify with being broken. And then we get broke and we want to break everybody else. We think being broke is the right way to be, and it just, this is how it spreads through our community. And then hurt people. And then if you do manage to make big money or make a certain amount of fame, and then you're still exhibiting these types of traumatic behaviors because now your ego is in charge, and your ego, I told y'all, the ego don't want that emotion to be more powerful than it. So guess what? That ego is going to say, okay, we're going to exert some power. You see all this stuff going on in the news with all this sexual misconduct and these power plays with a lot of these people. And then here's what happens. You get in a position, you get millions and billions of dollars. Okay. Somebody's constantly spying on you in your business. Why? Because they want to keep your weakness to themselves so they can play it like a trump card the minute you don't act right. Or the minute they decide, you know what, we broke, we're going to get that $1 billion up out of you, and this is how we're going to do it. You don't want to give it back to us? We're going to tell the public about what we've been noticing about you, because we've been watching you for years. We've been knowing that you've been doing this stuff for years. We don't care about you. We're not going to encourage you to heal from whatever trauma that's making you do this. We're going to play this trump card so you can give us this money back. This is how we get played when we refuse to heal. Okay? Because as we elevate, people will see us and be watching us and monitoring us and paying attention to our weaknesses. And they just record them and tuck them away in their pocket. And the minute we don't cooperate, okay, we're going to use your weakness either to kill you or to break you down. Start asking us for some money, Whitney Houston, and you're going to pop up dead. Because we already knew you was doing cocaine. So we get to your dealer and put something in it. Allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly. We know what you're doing, R. Kelly. We've been watching you. Everybody know. We ain't going to say nothing until we want that catalog back. Oh, Michael Jackson, you want to get jazzy and make songs and expose us and buy up stuff? Well, we've been watching you. There's some weaknesses there. We know you like doing a little drugs. So this is how we're going to get you, and we're going to get that money up out of you. So healing is important. And when we create a healing community, people that we can talk to, that we can interact with, that support our healing journey, who are not jealous of us, who are going to help us to elevate, guess what happens? Now, when we get into those positions, we got this circle around us, as opposed to that emotion that's popping up, that's so big that the ego says, I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to be this or that. And now your ego starts to go, I want to be special no matter what, especially good or especially bad. So I'm going to use my position of power. I'm going to take advantage of people. I'm going to manipulate people. I know people just want to be around me because of who I am and because they just think they're going to get a couple dollars. I'm going to use that. And that power, people wonder, well, why do people keep doing this stuff over and over again? Because of the power, because of how it makes them feel. It makes them feel better than the trauma that they needed to heal from. One last thing. Allah came to make himself known. We learned in the Bible that the bottom rail is going to be raised to the top. And if we're studying and preparing ourselves to accept higher levels of responsibility, to really be conduits of Almighty God, Allah, to allow him to flow through us, and we're asking for elevation, we're asking for wealth, we're asking for health, then guess what? He can't give it to us if we just gonna mess it up because we're not healing. Let's heal so that as we're navigating, the rewards that we receive for our sacrifice can be long lasting and they can stay with us. Let's heal. Let's heal. Let's put in the work so that we can truly heal. Let's stop being arrogant, like, ain't nothing wrong with me. I don't need to talk to nobody. It don't matter. I'm good. I'm whole. You should be healing and working on yourself every single day. And there's all kind of tools and techniques. If you bring me on as a coach, I will give you some of those tools and techniques that you can use. Sometimes it's things you say to yourself. Sometimes it's things that you visualize. Sometimes it'll be things that we'll have you write down. We'll have you process through. So you can go to book Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. It's flowing across the bottom if you want to book me for a session, a coaching session. And if you have questions about that, you can always email me. So support the channel. Thank you for the stars, Nubia La Flow. I want you all to remember, as the poet Rumi, I just love the Sufi poet Rumi. He says, the wound is the place where the light enters you. So if we've been hurt, if we've been traumatized, if we've been through something, that's an opportunity for light to come inside of us, an opportunity for us to transform, a time for us to go in and elevate. So when somebody does something to you, it's an opportunity for you to become a new you and to help somebody else to become a new them. So, all right, family, peace and blessings. We will see you all, inshallah, tomorrow morning on the Saturday morning coffee talks. And we'll just continue our series on healing. And I want you all to make sure to remember, y'all know what to do. Go out here, support the channel. If you like this kind of content, hit the super chat. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend, and make sure everybody likes and subscribes. Hit that notification button and go back and check out past episodes of these coffee talks. They're really designed to help us as entrepreneurs so that as we navigate through our life and following that sacred instruction to do for self, that we can do it the right way, that we can do it in a conscious way. We don't want to be predators and repeat the same business models and bring all those over to our community that didn't work in the first place. Sometimes we're just resetting up a situation. A lot of us are Black and we take an office and we become a council person or we become a business person and we say, oh, okay, now I'm here. Now I get to act like a dark-skinned white person. I'm going to use the same business model that was over there. Well, guess what? When you do it, you're going to end up in the clink because now you got to victimize somebody. You got to prey on somebody. That's the business model. But when we heal, we can see that a little bit better. We can heal. We can see, you know what? That ain't right. So let me create a new business model. All right, y'all, I'm going to go. Okay, I see y'all here. Let's see who we got here. Noor Halima says, wow, amazing. Praise be to Allah. Brother Lamont says, yes, a great way to start a Friday. See you tomorrow. Yes, inshallah. I see Timestamp Army said that they're tapping in. Nubi La Flo blessed us with a super sticker. Okay, some of y'all being shy here. All right, that's fine. Praise be to Allah. We'll see you all, inshallah, tomorrow. And don't forget to support the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum. I got some good announcements coming up, and I'm holding off because I gotta hold it for a little bit. Okay, peace and blessings.